Okay, everyone, the Supreme Court of the United States just issued a ruling, a preliminary ruling that preserves the status quo until an appeal can be decided on a lawsuit filed by 23 states and the District of Columbia against the Trump administration. A final order was issued on the lawsuit already because the lawsuit had no factual issues in dispute whatsoever. Okay, it's that type of lawsuit. It's strictly a legal dispute regarding the legality of an executive order that tries to stop fraudulent voting in federal elections by targeting mail in ballots. Now, who could object to that? Lots of folks. Now, the lawsuit's been kind of whittled down to three main issues, and those are the three main action items in the executive order. 1. The feds will send lists of U.S. citizens aged 18 and over to every state's Board of Elections. 2. The Attorney General of the United States will prioritize the investigation and, if necessary, prosecution of state and local officials who issue federal ballots to ineligible voters. And 3. The Postal Service is directed to promulgate rules to administer the balloting process, for example, issuing barcodes to facilitate tracking the ballots, etc. Now, this lawsuit to me is kind of interesting because most of us probably don't mind going to the polling place to vote, and mailing in the ballot, of course, is so convenient. Now, we got used to doing that during the pandemic, and many state boards of elections probably find it more cost effective to use the mail in ballots. In any event, this lawsuit was one of the quickest in recent memory. The executive order was issued on March 31st. The lawsuit was filed April 3rd. A final judgment and injunction against implementation of the executive order issued on June 25th. Now, the Trump administration appealed on July 1st. On July 27th, the DOJ petitioned the Supreme Court to stay the injunction, which had said that the Trump administration couldn't begin implementing the three main items of the executive order while the appeal was pending. So, of course, the urgency is all about the midterm elections. The Supreme Court's order said that the implementation of the executive order can proceed while the appeal is pending. So, regardless of when the merits are decided and how they're decided, it seems possible that the midterms will be conducted in accordance with some parts, though not all, of the executive order. However, the 23 states and the District of Columbia just filed a new lawsuit today. So they're going for another injunction. Now, this time, probably a preliminary injunction. Now, this new lawsuit cures a defect that the Supreme Court used to rule against the 23 states and D.C. The Supreme Court had said that the lawsuit was premature because no action had been taken by the feds to implement the executive order yet. Well, after the Supreme Court's ruling, the Postal Service did issue a rule regarding the mail-in ballots, the envelopes. So, as it appears, the lawsuit is no longer premature. The 23 states and D.C. went ahead and filed their lawsuit again. And there was also a different lawsuit filed by a conglomeration of voting rights organizations, with the League of Women Voters being the lead plaintiff. And they won a preliminary injunction against implementation of Section 3 of the executive order, so that's the Postal Service portion. And I haven't even gotten to the constitutional issue posed by the executive order, and that is, who controls the administration of federal elections? Now, the Constitution at Article 1, Section 4 says, the times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations, except as to the places of choosing senators. So the 23 states and D.C. are saying if the feds want to control the administration of elections in the manner prescribed in the executive order, they need to do it through legislation and not through an executive order. Now, of course, it's difficult to pass legislation. We'll find out what the Supreme Court has to say about the constitutionality of the executive order when it comes up for a resolution on the merits. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.